And we're back to learning Photoshop in here, day 259. Let me show you a relatively new AI color replacement. In a very simple image, we use hue and saturation, and now this design has already changed a little bit. When you see the properties, but let me delete it. I right click here and show contextual text bar. And now we have something called adjust colors. If you left click on it, this opens a hue and saturation bar and analyzes the colors that are in your image directly. You can see these different color swatches, the bluish colors on the jeans, and obviously here the reddish colors on the shirt. Just select one of these color circles. Let me drag the properties right here. I can hide the bar now. If you don't see the properties, go to Window, click on Properties. And now I can, for example, sample a color using these eyedropper tools. Pick the first one, click on the reddish color here. And if I change the hue, it's going to only affect this color now in my image. And make that somewhat greenish. And you can also go into a detail adjustment right here. So here you can adjust what range is affected by your color adjustment. In this case, we don't need it, but just in case you have different reddish orange tones, you can broaden this here or limit it. Granted, this was a super easy example where everything worked pretty quickly and easily. Let me delete this. Now it gets a little bit harder because here we have an orange tone and it's also a little bit part of the face. So skin has naturally a little bit of an orange tone. How would we go about something like this? Well, first up, we go directly to hue and saturation. We've got our properties here. I pick one of these swatches, use the eyedropper. Let me sample this orange tone and I change the color. We only focus on the sweater here, at least in the first step. I'll make it bluish. You could try to play around with this limit below, but in this specific case it actually makes sense to use the layer mask that is attached to the hue and saturation adjustment layer. So I drag my properties back here, make sure that I'm on the layer mask, so this white rectangle in the layers menu, and I make black my foreground color. I use the paintbrush, adjust the size up here. Maybe 50 is okay, hardness is 50%. Once again, black color in the forefront, and I paint on this white rectangle. And let me go down to 25. And you can see we can bring the original color back by doing that. So depending on what image you've got, you have to work a little bit on it. Black color conceals and white reveals. So when you paint with the black too much, just switch the colors, for example, by using X, which is the short key for your color swatches. Then you have the white color in the forefront and you can paint over this. You have to do the same here for the hat and also the hair. You can see, especially with the hair, it can get a little bit complex. So here it depends on how much time do you invest. The more you do, the better results will look. But it also depends a little bit on the zoom level. So in what context are you using the final result? Because sometimes you can actually get away with not fixing all of the little details. In this case, I'm quite happy with it, and you can see we've only affected the sweater and it looks pretty natural. Let me show you yet another example, and in this case we have the issue that the background has kind of the same color as our shirt. So we use the contextual text bar, adjust the colors, we sample this white color from the shirt. Now if we change that, number one, nothing happens because it's white, so we colorize it. And you can already see the background. And number two, the background is now adjusted as well. For the first step, once again, we only focus on what we actually want to recolor, which is the shirt. Then make that greenish, at least for now. And that's what we want to do. So how should we go about that? Well, first up, I would select the subject or remove the background. For me, let me press Ctrl J here to copy the original. And then I click on Remove Background. It says already worked pretty well. We switch to the layer, then use Adjust Colors. Pick a swatch, sample a color from your shirt. Use Colorize. And now right click on this hue and saturation layer and use Create Clipping Mask, because this clips it only to our layer below, which is the Remove Background layer. Now I choose a color, an extreme green, just to start with. I switch to the layer mask of hue and saturation, use my paintbrush, make black my foreground color, and adjust the size a little bit. And now we have to go over the hat. And here, don't worry with the edges towards the background. You can paint over that easily because the layer below doesn't have a background. We've got it removed. Therefore, it's very easy here to do it. Just paint over it with a black color. The hair is no problem either. You only have to be careful right there where there's a shirt. So here you don't want to have a black color, therefore I go down with brush size, paint over it a little bit more carefully. And then we've got the arm. Once again, you don't have to worry about the backgrounds or the trousers here. Only area where you have to be careful is where arm and shirt somewhat connect. And now we've got it covered. We can now go back to our hue and saturation properties. So click on this icon in the layers menu. Then you should find the properties and you can colorize it differently. And this will now only affect your shirt. So a little bit more work. It depends on the photo that you've got. Sometimes it's very easy to do, like with our first example. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. And this is how you can use the AI color replacement in Photoshop. I hope this video was helpful. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next time.